Imagine this. A huge, brand new airport, the biggest in the whole Western Hemisphere. But it opens years late, billions over budget, and the core technology of this amazing automated system, it's a disaster.
Right.
Like, it's literally destroying people's luggage.
Right, and that part, the delays, the budget, the baggage system failure, that's all documented fact. But then layer on top of that this whole other story, this wild mythology.
Yeah, the idea that it's not just an airport.
Yeah.
That it's secretly the headquarters for some, global elite.
Guarded by this giant, terrifying blue horse with glowing red eyes, built over this maze of secret tunnels, maybe 6 stories deep.
For a hidden military base, or even some people say concentration camps. It's just...
Wow, it really is the perfect storm for conspiracy theories, all converging there in Denver.
It's Hill and Monique here, and thanks for tuning in to Dreamy Deep Dive.
So today, our plan is to gently sort of peel back the layers here. We'll look at the official records, the engineering reports, the planning documents.
But also the stories, the rumors, the interpretations of the art. We want to see how this one airport became such a magnet for these, well, extraordinary claims.
Exactly. We're going to trace how the very real chaos kind of seeded the mythology.
And as always, this is all audio. You don't need to be looking at a screen, so just find a comfortable spot, maybe close your eyes if you like.
Yeah, just settle in. Taking this time just to listen, it's actually really good for you. It reduces eye strain, for one.
Definitely. And it can genuinely help lower stress, help you relax more deeply. It kind of creates a mental space away from all the phone notifications and screen glare.
It supports better focus, mental clarity, even things like posture can benefit when you're not hunched over a device. So just let the details wash over you, relax, and join us on this dreamy deep dive.
Okay, so let's start with the basics. Part 1, the reality. Why did Denver even need a new airport in the first place? What was wrong with the old one, Stapleton?
Well, fundamentally, Denver just outgrew Stapleton International. It was a classic case of urban sprawl.
Right. The city grew right up around it.
Exactly. It was completely boxed in. There was literally no room left to build new runways, expand the terminals, anything like that to handle more planes or bigger planes.
And that caused problems. I remember hearing about noise complaints.
Oh, constantly. The neighborhoods were right there, practically touching the airport fence. So yeah, noise complaints, lawsuits. It was a persistent headache for the city.
But maybe more importantly for the airlines and passengers, it wasn't great operationally, was it? Especially in bad weather.
No, that was the critical issue. Stapleton only had 3 runways and they were packed pretty close together.
And Denver weather. It can turn on a dime, right? Sunshine one minute, blizzard the next.
Precisely. So when bad weather hit, especially snow or high winds, Stapleton just couldn't cope. They couldn't use the runways efficiently or simultaneously.
Which meant delays.
Massive delays. Not just in Denver, but it would ripple out, causing huge disruptions to flight schedules nationally, even internationally. It was a major bottleneck.
So the solution was go big. Really big.
Unprecedentedly big, yeah. They found this huge tract of land way out from the city center. We're talking 140 square kilometers. That's about 35,000 acres.
Wow. That's enormous.
It instantly made it the largest airport in the United States by land area. The whole design philosophy was about space, resilience, and future expansion.
So more runways.
6 runways initially. And crucially, they were spaced really far apart. This meant they could operate simultaneously, even in poor weather, directly addressing Stapleton's biggest weakness.
And they were planning for growth, passenger-wise?
Oh, yeah. The initial projections were for over 50 million passengers a year, which seemed huge then, but now.
Now it handles way more, right? Like 80 million.
Easily. So, in that sense, the decision to build big was absolutely the right one, strategically. The voters actually approved the initial construction back in 1989. Everything seemed set.
Okay, so the need was clear, the scale was ambitious. But then, things started to go wrong. And this is where the story really takes a turn, isn't it? The baggage system.
Yes. The infamous Automated Baggage Handling System, the BHS. This was meant to be the crown jewel of the new airport.
The big technological leap forward.
Exactly. The promise was that this fully automated system would zip bags between the check-in counters, the gates, and the transfer points incredibly fast. They were talking about reducing aircraft turnaround time to just 30 minutes.
Which would be revolutionary, especially for hub operations.
Absolutely. And the scale of it was just mind-boggling. It was designed to be the largest, most complex automated system of its kind in the world.
Get this, 17 miles of track, 5 miles of conveyor belts, Over 3,000 individual computer-controlled carts running around.
Plus 14 million feet of wiring, 5,000 motors, more than 100 networked computers just managing the luggage across 3 separate concourses. It was a technological beast.
But maybe too complex. Were there warning signs?
Definitely. Experts were pointing out even then that this system was like 10 times bigger and way more complex than anything that had ever been successfully implemented before.
Were there comparisons in other airports?
Yeah, places like Munich or San Francisco had automated systems, but they were much simpler, smaller, and focused on single terminals usually. And even those simpler systems took at least 2 years just to get working properly.
And Denver wanted to build this mega system, integrated across 3 concourses. How quickly?
Well, that's where the planning really fell apart. The decision to go with this super ambitious airport-wide BHS wasn't even made until the summer of 1991.
Okay, and the airport was scheduled to open when?
October 1993.
So barely 2 years to design, build, test, and implement something 10 times more complex than anything else out there.
Exactly. It was an impossible timeline. Everyone looking at it objectively knew it couldn't be done that fast.
But they push ahead anyway. Why the rush?
It seems like there was a lot of political pressure. Certain city officials really championed the BHS. It was symbolic, you know? Denver's leap into the 21st century, a showcase project.
So they ignored the warnings.
Pretty much. There was a feasibility report back in 1990 that basically said, this is too complex for this deadline. It was shelved.
Wow. And what about companies bidding to build it?
They actually rejected the first 3 bids they received because the companies were honest and said they couldn't meet the October 93 deadline.
So they found someone who said they could.
Eventually, yes. But despite all the internal warnings saying this was a minimum 4-year project, the final go-ahead was given in April 1992.
Which put the baggage system right on the critical path. If it wasn't ready, the whole airport couldn't open.
Precisely. And that intense schedule pressure just led to mistake after mistake. It compounded everything.
What kind of mistakes?
Well, for one, the airlines, the main users of the system, like United and Continental, they weren't really brought into the detailed design discussions early on.
Seriously. The people whose bags it was supposed to handle.
Yeah. So when they finally did get involved later in the process, they started demanding changes. Costly, complex, late-stage changes.
That sounds like a nightmare for the engineers.
Yeah. It was. Imagine trying to finalize the system and suddenly someone says, oh, by the way, it also needs to handle skis automatically. Or, we need to completely redesign the oversized baggage areas.
While the clock is ticking down to that impossible deadline.
Mm-hmm. These scope changes just threw more wrenches into the works, requiring major redesigns that had to be rushed.
But I heard there was an even more fundamental problem. Something about the building itself.
Ah, yes. This is almost unbelievable, but it's true. The architectural design for the airport terminals and concourses, it actually started before the detailed engineering for the BHS was finished.
Wait, so they designed the container before they knew the exact shape and needs of what was going inside it?
Essentially, yes. So this highly sensitive, high-speed automated track system relying on percents movements, it had to be crammed into spaces that weren't optimally designed for it.
What did that mean in practice?
It meant the tracks had to make sharp turns, navigate tight corners, go up and down steep inclines, things that are terrible for a system trying to move thousands of carts quickly and reliably.
So, the carts would have trouble.
Big trouble. Carts going around these sharp, suboptimal turns at high speed, they'd literally crash into each other or the sides. Bags got mangled, crushed.
Wow.
Yeah, luggage was getting ejected from the carts because the physical forces were just too much for the system design in those tight spots.
So what do? They couldn't just let it keep destroying luggage.
Their solution was, well, drastic. They had to basically cut the system's speed in half. It was designed to run at about 60 carts per minute past a given point. They had to slow it down to 30.
Which completely defeated the purpose, right? That 30-minute turnaround goal.
Gone. Out the window. Before the airport even opened its doors, the core performance promise of its flagship technology was already fundamentally undermined.
Okay, so the system is plagued with problems, the deadline is looming. What was the fallout? The opening must have been delayed.
Massively delayed. It didn't open in October 1993 as planned. It was pushed back again and again. It finally opened in February 1995.
That's 16 months late.
16 months? And every single day of that delay was costing the city of Denver a fortune.
How much are we talking?
Get this, $1.1 million per day.
$1 million a day. Just burning money.
Yep. In interest charges on the construction bonds, maintenance costs for the empty buildings, staffing, Hundreds of millions of dollars just evaporating while the airport sat empty.
The public must have been furious. And the media?
Oh, the media had a field day. There was this infamous demonstration they tried to do for reporters in 1994, sort of a see, it's working attempt.
It didn't work.
It was an absolute catastrophe. Reporters were brought in to watch the system run, and instead they saw bags getting chewed up, ripped open, content spilling out all over the tracks, clothes, personal items, just chaos.
That image must have stuck, the high-tech marvel failing so spectacularly.
It became the defining image of the whole project's problems. Public confidence just plummeted.
So when the airport finally did open in February '95, was the baggage system working then?
Barely. It was a pale shadow of the original vision. It was only operational in one concourse, Concourse B, only for one airline, United, and only for outbound flights. Everything else, all inbound bags, all other airlines.
They needed a backup plan.
They had to scramble to build a conventional manual tug and trolley system like you see at most airports. That cost an extra $51 million.
Just to do what the failed system was supposed to do. And what happened to the automated system in the long run? Did they ever get it fully working?
Never. United Airlines, the only ones really using the limited version of it, finally gave up and scrapped it entirely in 2005.
Why? Just wasn't worth it.
The maintenance costs were apparently astronomical, around $1 million per month just to keep that limited part of the system running. It just wasn't viable.
So years late, billions over budget, and the technological centerpiece ends up being abandoned. You can see why people started thinking something else must be going on.
Exactly. This massive, very public, very expensive failure created this vacuum of explanation. When the official story is that chaotic and incompetent, people start looking for other reasons. Maybe it wasn't incompetence. Maybe the chaos was deliberate.
Which brings us neatly to part 2, the conspiracy carnival.
The weird stuff. Let's start underground. The tunnels.
Right. The sheer scale of the cost overrun, jumping from an initial estimate of around $2 billion to a final figure somewhere between $4.8 and $5.6 billion, depending on how you calculate it.
That's a huge jump.
Massive.
Yeah.
And combined with the fact that contractors were reportedly hired and fired frequently, it fueled the idea that the delays and budget chaos weren't accidental. They were a cover.
A cover for building something else, something secret.
Exactly, something underground. Remember all that earth they had to excavate for the massive BHS, especially under the main terminal and concourses?
You know, miles and miles of tunnels and space for the tracks and carts. Well, after the BHS was largely abandoned, what was left was this huge, mostly empty subterranean space. And that's where the idea of the secret underground complex really took hold.
Not just maintenance tunnels anymore.
No, the stories got much grander. Whispers of a vast underground city, maybe 6 stories deep, or a huge military facility.
Survival bunkers. For who?
For the elites, naturally. The idea was they'd need a place to ride out some kind of apocalypse, maybe one they planned themselves, or the darker version.
FEMA camps.
Yeah?
Concentration camps for people who resist the New World Order.
That's the one. That theory latched onto the underground space idea very strongly.
And it got even wilder, right? Secret runways.
Oh, yeah. Claims of hidden runways stretching 4 or 5 miles out. That could be uncovered somehow. Ready for the satanic global elites, as some put it, to land huge planes and whisk people into the bunkers.
And the DUMB theory. Deep underground military base.
That one claimed there was a secret tunnel, 90 miles long, connecting DIA directly to the NORAD command center deep inside Cheyenne Mountain.
Okay, let's pause there. 90 miles.
Underground.
It's, highly improbable, let's say. For context, the longest road tunnel in the world is the Little Tunnel in Norway, and that's only 15 miles long.
Building a 90-mile tunnel secretly under the guise of an airport project.
It would be an engineering feat on an unbelievable scale. Billions and billions of dollars, massive amounts of excavated earth to dispose of.
Oh, yeah.
You simply couldn't hide that. It's not feasible.
But the underground myths persist, even. Lizard people.
Ah, the reptilians. Yes, the idea that these shape-shifting lizard aliens are secretly running things from underground bases, and DIA is one of them.
And airport employees have kind of played into that one.
Apparently so. There are stories of employees wearing lizard masks down in the tunnels, maybe as a joke, maybe just to lean into the weirdness. It certainly doesn't help debunk the theory.
So what is the reality of the tunnels? They exist, right? Oh, absolutely. There are extensive tunnels and underground facilities, but they're necessary for any airport of this size. They house utilities, maintenance access, communications lines, and yes, the remnants of that enormous baggage system.
So functional, not sinister.
The evidence points overwhelmingly to functional. Big, complex, maybe even a bit spooky if you're down there alone, but built for airport operations. And that other rumor about it being built on a Native American burial ground.
Yeah, I've heard that one too.
There's zero archaeological evidence to support that claim. It seems to be another piece of lore added to the mix.
Okay, so underground is mostly explained by the BHS legacy. What about the stuff you can actually see? The symbols, the plaques, the dedication capstone.
Right. This is a big one for theorists. It's located near the south entrance of the main terminal, and it has two very prominent features.
The Masonic symbol.
Yep. The square encompasses, instantly recognizable, and it lists the members of something called the New World Airport Commission.
Okay, I can see why that would raise eyebrows. Masons and New World in the same place.
Exactly. For conspiracy theorists, this is like Exhibit A proof of Masonic or Illuminati control. The New World Airport Commission is seen as just a thinly veiled code for the New World Order.
And there's something about the date, too.
Yeah, the dedication date is March 19th, 1994. If you add up the digits, through +1 + 9 + 1 + 9 + 9 + 4, you get 36. Actually, the common claim is it adds to 33. Let me recheck that. 3 + 19 + 1994 = 2016, or 3994 = 1 + 9 + 1 + 9 + 9 + 4 = 36. Okay, maybe the 33 claim comes from 1 + 9 + 9 + 4 + 3 + 1 + 9 + 9 + 9 + 10 + 23 = 26, or March equals 3, 1 + 9 + 9 + 4 + 3 + 10 + 23 = 36. The claim is often 33, representing the highest degree in Scottish Rite Masonry. There might be a specific numerology method used, but the simple addition doesn't immediately yield 33. Let's assume the claim centers around getting 33 somehow. It's cited as proof of high-level Masonic involvement.
Okay, so what's the more mundane explanation?
Well, the Masonic symbol is there because the Freemasons did, in fact, lay the dedication stone. That's a tradition they have for major public buildings. Goes back centuries. It's not inherently secret.
But the New World Airport Commission, that name feels deliberately provocative, doesn't it? Especially in the 90s when New World Order paranoia was really high.
It certainly seems like unfortunate timing or perhaps a lack of awareness of the connotations. But there is an official explanation backed by documents in the Denver Public Library archives.
Oh, I thought.
It was a real committee, but temporary. It was set up by the city's Arts and Humanities Council chair, a guy named Charles Ansbacher. Its job was basically to organize and promote the opening ceremonies and festivities for the new airport.
Okay, but why that name?
Apparently, Ansbacher named it after Antonin Dvorak's famous symphony, the New World Symphony, thinking it evoked aspiration and a new beginning for Denver.
So, public record, named after music, not a secret cabal.
According to the archives, yes. There are literally 11 boxes of documents detailing the commission's activities, referenced WH858 if anyone wants to look it up. It was public, planned festivities, nothing hidden, but the name definitely provided ammunition.
All right, moving from the capstone, the runways themselves. From the air, people say they look like a swastika.
Yeah, this is another visual clue that gets pointed to frequently. The claim is the layout is an intentional tribute to fascism or the supposed Nazi roots of the New World Order.
But airports need functional runway layouts. What's the operational reason?
It's called a pinwheel configuration, and it's purely about efficiency and safety, especially in a place like Denver with its strong and often shifting winds.
How does the pinwheel help with wind?
It means that no matter which direction the wind is blowing strongly from, there will always be at least a couple of runways aligned favorably or closely enough aligned to allow for safe takeoffs and landings. It maximizes the airport's operational capacity during inclement weather, exactly the problem Stapleton had.
So it's form-following function. Does it actually look like a swastika if you trace it carefully?
Not really clearly. You have to kind of squint and connect dots that aren't meant to be connected. Some lines might vaguely align if you force it, but the overall pattern is driven by aeronautical engineering, not symbolism.
Okay, what about inside the terminal? I heard there were weird inscriptions on the floor, in some secret language.
Not secret, no. They are actual words, but they're in the Navajo language, Diné Bizad.
Navajo. Why Navajo?
It's part of the airport's public art program meant to honor Colorado's history and the indigenous cultures of the region. The words aren't random either. They refer to specific places and concepts relevant to the area.
Like what? Can you give examples?
Sure, there are four main ones often cited. BESDIT Guy, that translates to white metal or silver, referencing Colorado's mining past.
Okay, makes sense.
Then DIITDITEDII, which means White Mountain. Nice refers to the Tallow River, which is a branch of the South Platte River near where DIA is located.
Grounding it in local geography.
Exactly. And the last one is SS Neogene. That's the Navajo name for Blanca Peak, one of the 4 sacred mountains that traditionally mark the boundaries of the Navajo homeland. So it's all very specific, very rooted in place and history, not Kabbalistic code.
Interesting. Now, what about the minecart symbol? The one with OAG on it. This one gets a really weird interpretation.
It really does. It's usually found inscribed on the floor in the Great Hall. The letters are O and AG.
And the conspiracy theory links this to biowarfare.
Bizarrely, yes. The claim is that OAG stands for Australian antigen, and that this antigen is supposedly a deadly pathogen, maybe engineered, that the elites plan to use to wipe out large parts of the population, tying it back to the apocalyptic themes some see in the murals.
Wow, that's a leap. What's the simpler explanation?
Much simpler. O and Ag are just the chemical symbols from the periodic table for gold, Au, and silver Ag.
Back to the mining history again.
Exactly. It's another nod to Colorado being a major gold and silver mining state. It fits perfectly with the BESHDITGII inscription.
And the Australian antigen part, is that even a real thing?
It is a real thing scientifically. It's also known as hepatitis B surface antigen, HBsAg, but the theory gets it completely wrong. It's not a pathogen itself, it's a protein on the surface of the hepatitis B virus.
So it doesn't cause disease?
No! In fact, it's used in the hepatitis B vaccine to trigger an immune response safely. It's also used in diagnostic tests for hepatitis B. So the claim that it's some kind of secret bioweapon is based on a fundamental misunderstanding of what it actually is. It's an antigen, not a weaponized disease.
Okay, so the symbols seem to have pretty straightforward, non-conspiracy explanations rooted in Colorado history, language, and science. But then there's the art.
Yeah.
Especially the horse. Lucifer.
Yes, Lucifer. Officially titled Mustang, but nobody calls it that. This is probably the most recognizable and maybe unsettling piece of public art at any airport anywhere.
Describe it for people who haven't seen it. It's intense.
It's a massive fiberglass sculpture of a horse rearing up on its hind legs. It's 32 feet tall, weighs 9,000 pounds, and it's bright, almost electric blue.
And the eyes.
And the eyes glow bright red. They're LEDs. It stands guard, essentially, on the Pena Boulevard approach to the airport. It's the first major thing you see, and it is striking.
The nickname, Lucifer, clearly suggests something demonic. But the story got even darker, didn't it, with the artist?
Tragically, yes. The artist, Luis Jimenez, a highly respected sculptor, was actually killed while working on the piece in his studio in 2006. He was 65.
How did it happen?
A large section of the sculpture apparently broke loose, fell, and struck him in the leg, severing an artery. It was a freak accident, but...
But it cemented the idea that the horse was cursed. Or evil.
Absolutely. It fueled the narrative that this wasn't just art, it was a malevolent object. Conspiracy theorists often point to it as representing one of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse.
Death. Usually rides a pale horse, though, right?
Traditionally, yes. But the glowing red eyes and the sheer, imposing, almost demonic look of it lead many to connect it to the apocalypse, regardless of the horse's color. Death or conquest, depending on the interpretation.
So what was the artist's intent? Did Jimenez want it to be terrifying?
His intent seems much more rooted in his own life and background. His father owned a neon sign shop, and Jimenez grew up around that brightly lit commercial art form.
So the red LED eyes are a nod to neon signs.
Exactly. It was a tribute to his father and his own artistic origins, kind of blending Southwestern sculpture with that modern electric aesthetic.
And the blue color. Why blue?
It was reportedly modeled after his own horse, named Blackjack, which was a blue roan Appaloosa. There's also a story he told about being startled one night when his horse's eyes seemed to glow in the dark from reflected light.
So maybe playing with that idea, how something familiar can look frightening in a different context.
Possibly. Jimenez was known for creating art that provoked dialogue, as he put it. He often focused on themes of the American West, working-class heroes, Hispanic heritage, like his famous Vaquero sculpture. The horse was likely meant to embody the wild, untamed spirit of the West, not literal demons.
Okay, Lucifer is one thing. But then there are the murals inside the terminal. These are maybe even more directly linked to the conspiracy theories.
Leo Tanguma's murals, yes. There are 2 main diptychs, meaning each has 2 panels. One is called Children of the World, Dream of Peace, and the other is In Peace and Harmony with Nature. and they became so controversial.
They took them down, right? During renovations in 2018.
They did. They were removed and put into storage. The airport cited the renovations, but many suspect it was also partly to quiet the constant controversy and conspiracy talk surrounding them.
Let's describe the Children of the World one first. The first panel is pretty dark.
It's incredibly jarring, especially for an airport terminal. You see these grieving figures, women holding dead children emerging from ruined, bombed-out buildings, gray, smoky background.
And the central figure.
The soldier.
Yeah, this towering, menacing soldier figure wearing a gas mask so his face is hidden. He's dressed in a uniform that many people immediately associated with Nazi uniforms, particularly the style of the helmet and a three-point strap across his chest. And he's doing what?
He's holding this huge sword and he's thrusting it downwards, impaling a white dove, the universal symbol of peace. There's also a line of crying children sleeping on bricks, and off to the side, a little girl clutching a teddy bear hiding among the rubble.
It's bleak. And I heard there's a specific historical reference hidden in there too.
Yes, very specific and very chilling. If you look closely at the bottom right, there's a depiction of a small piece of paper, like a child's letter or poem. It includes the name Hannes Hockenberg.
Who was Hannes Hockenberg?
He was a real child, a young poet, who was imprisoned in the Theresienstadt ghetto during the Holocaust and later died in Auschwitz in 1943 at age 14. Including his name makes the mural's reference to genocide and the horrors of war undeniable.
So you can absolutely see why people interpret this as depicting some kind of future planned genocide or a fascist takeover by the New World Order.
Oh, absolutely. The imagery is powerful and lends itself directly to those interpretations. However, there's the second panel.
The hopeful panel.
Right. The diptych format is key. The second panel shows a completely different scene. Children from all nations, dressed in vibrant traditional clothing, are gathered together, smiling, singing, bringing weapons wrapped in their national flags to a central figure.
Who is breaking the swords?
Exactly. Beating swords into plowshares, the classic biblical image of peace. The menacing soldier figure from the first panel is depicted as a dead statue crumbling, being overcome by the children's celebration of peace and unity.
So the artist's message seems to be about overcoming war and hatred to achieve peace.
That's what Tanguma himself always maintained. He said the murals depicted the horrors of war and violence first, to show what humanity needs to overcome, leading ultimately to a future of global peace and understanding. It's a journey from darkness to light.
Okay, what about the other mural set? In Peace and Harmony with Nature, does it follow a similar pattern?
Very similar. The first panel shows environmental devastation. A forest is on fire in the background, extinct or endangered animals are displayed in glass cases, whales are trapped in nets.
More grieving figures.
Yes, children are crying, fleeing the destruction, and perhaps most disturbingly, in the foreground, there's a coffin containing the body of a child, pale and lifeless.
Why include a dead child?
Tanguma said it was to represent that humanity itself is not immune, that environmental destruction ultimately threatens our own survival, not just the animals.
Heavy stuff for an airport wall.
Definitely. And again, conspiracy theorists latch onto this imagery. They see it as predicting ecological collapse engineered by the elite, or maybe hinting at biowarfare again.
But like the other one, there's a second panel.
The second panel shows a vibrant scene. Diverse children and adults from around the world are gathered together, celebrating around this central, glowing, almost futuristic-looking plant, symbolizing the rebirth of nature and harmony between humanity and the environment.
So again, destruction leading to hope and healing.
That was the intended narrative arc, according to the artist, showing the potential horrors of environmental neglect to inspire a move towards global cooperation and ecological harmony. The controversy comes because the horror panels are so visually arresting and, frankly, quite frightening.
It's easy to see how those images, taken out of context or viewed with a suspicious eye, could fuel the darker theories.
Precisely. The art is meant to be provocative, but its placement in a busy, often stressful public space like an airport, combined with all the other strangeness surrounding DIA's construction, it was almost inevitable they'd become focal points for conspiracy.
Okay, beyond the horse and the murals, there are a couple of other oddities. The gargoyles.
Right. Down in the baggage claim areas, there are two small gargoyle sculptures seen emerging from suitcases. They're often called Notre Denver, a little joke referencing the famous gargoyles of Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris.
Why gargoyles in suitcases?
They were created by artist Terry Allen. His stated intent was pretty whimsical. They're meant to be playful protectors of the luggage, ensuring bags arrive safely.
A bit ironic given the baggage system's history.
Highly ironic, yes. It's also supposedly a nod to the fact that Samsonite, the luggage company, used to have a big factory in Denver.
But of course, gargoyles look, well, demonic to some people.
Exactly. So for those already convinced the airport has sinister undertones, these figures are just more proof. Demonic sentinels guarding the underworld, or something along those lines.
And finally, there was Anubis, the Egyptian god.
Yes, for a time there was a huge Anubis statue, like 26 feet tall. Anubis, the jackal-headed god associated with death and the afterlife in ancient Egyptian mythology.
That seems pretty on the nose if you're looking for death cult symbols.
It does, doesn't it? However, this one has a very clear, mundane explanation. The statue was temporary. It was only there from June 2010 to January 2011.
Why was it there at all?
It was purely promotional. It was paid for by private funds from the Denver Art Museum to advertise a major traveling exhibition of artifacts from King Tutankhamun's tomb that was showing at the museum. Anubis was a relevant figure from that historical context.
So basically a giant museum advertisement.
Correct, but because it was Anubis, the god of death, and because it was at DIA, it got absorbed into the conspiracy lore permanently, even though it was gone relatively quickly.
Yeah.
People still talk about it as if it's a permanent fixture proving the airport's evil agenda.
It really shows how once the narrative takes hold, almost anything can be made to fit.
Absolutely. Confirmation bias is incredibly powerful.
So we've got the disastrous construction reality, and we've got this wild carnival of conspiracy theories layered on top. How did the airport administration itself react to all this? Did they just ignore it? Try to debunk it constantly?
Well, for a long time, they mostly tried to ignore it or issue standard denials. But then something really interesting happened. They changed tactics completely.
How so?
They decided to lean into it, to embrace the weirdness. Essentially, they weaponized the conspiracy theories for marketing and public relations. It was kind of brilliant, actually.
So instead of fighting the rumors,
Yeah.
they used them.
Yes. They launched this whole campaign, starting around 2016, playfully acknowledging all the bizarre stories. They even branded it with a hashtag #DinOnFiles.
Like the X-Files, the TV show about conspiracies and aliens.
Exactly. It was a very deliberate, very knowing nod. The airport CEO at the time, Kim Day, even gave interviews saying things like, the rumors ranged from the absurd to the entertaining, and announced they were dedicating October 2016 to celebrating the airport's connection to these theories.
What did that look like in practice? What kind of things did they do?
They ran these amazing advertisements. You'd see posters or digital ads featuring Lucifer with laser beams shooting from its eyes, asking questions like, are we creating the world's greatest airport? Or preparing for the end of the world?
Wow, that's bold.
Totally. Another one showed one of the luggage gargoyles going through a TSA scanner with the text, streamlined security, or more secrets. It was all done with this humorous, self-aware tone.
Trying to take the sting out of the theories by laughing along.
Pretty much, and making the airport seem less like some scary, monolithic entity and more like, well, like it had a sense of humor about itself, reducing travel stress through levity.
Did they do anything inside the airport itself?
Oh, yeah. They set up a temporary exhibit called Conspiracy Theories Uncovered. It showcased some of the controversial artwork, had informational displays, videos.
But it's just debunk things.
It explained the official stories and the artist's intents, but it did it playfully. They even included props like a fake alien skull that they joked had been found during construction of the nearby Westin Hotel, deliberately adding fuel to the fire in a funny way.
They also offered tours, right? Conspiracy tours.
Conspiracy art tours, where guides would actually point out the artworks and explain how they became connected to theories about the Illuminati or aliens or the New World Order. So acknowledging the interpretation while providing the context.
But the peak had to be the talking gargoyle.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, the talking gargoyle was genius. They installed this animatronic gargoyle statue in the main terminal near the conspiracy exhibit, and it would interact with passengers.
How? Like pre-recorded messages?
No, it was live. There was apparently a comedian hidden away somewhere, providing the voice in real time, responding to people, cracking jokes.
What kind of stuff would it say?
It would banter with travelers, make fun of the conspiracy theories, ask people if they packed any lizard people in their luggage, comment on the swastika runways, all while maintaining this sort of grumpy old gargoyle persona. It was performance art meets PR.
That must have disarmed people quite a bit. Hard to take the sinister theory seriously when a wisecracking gargoyle is making fun of them.
Exactly. It humanized the airport and used humor to deflate the fear.
And didn't they run some kind of contest related to the underground tunnels?
They did. This was maybe the ultimate stunt. They launched a Facebook contest called What's Under Den. The grand prize was an exclusive behind-the-scenes tour of the legendary underground facilities for one winner and a guest.
Seriously? They were going to show some of the secret bunkers.
Well, here's the catch. To claim the prize, the winner had to pass a full criminal background check and sign an oath of eternal secrecy.
So they offered access, but with a final wink and a nudge that keeps the mystery alive. Brilliant.
Isn't it? It's the perfect way to handle it. Acknowledge the legend, offer a glimpse of the reality, but keep that little shred of maybe intact.
Yeah.
It shows they understood that the conspiracies, at this point, are part of the airport's identity, part of its brand.
So the chaos of the construction birthed the myth, and now the myth drives engagement. It's a strange loop.
A very strange, very Denver loop.
So, wrapping this all up, we've journeyed through two very different stories today, haven't we?
We really have. On one hand, you have the documented reality. A massively ambitious infrastructure project plagued by very real, very expensive engineering failures, management blunders, and political pressures. The baggage system debacle is the prime example.
Billions wasted, years of delays, public humiliation. That part is undeniable fact.
Right. And on the other hand, you have this incredibly elaborate, almost mythological narrative that sprang up in the shadow of that failure. Secret societies, underground bunkers, apocalyptic art, demonic horses.
It seems like the sheer scale of the real problems, the money, the delays, the technical failures, made it hard for people to believe it was just incompetence. The reality was so bad, it almost invited a more sinister explanation.
I think that's a key insight. When official explanations seem inadequate to explain the level of chaos, people look for hidden hands, deeper meanings, the cost overruns, the contractor turnover. It created fertile ground for suspicion.
And then the art, the murals, the horse, provided the perfect visual vocabulary for those suspicions. Dark, ambiguous, unsettling images that people could project their anxieties onto.
It was a perfect storm. The foundation of distrust was laid by the construction failures, and the art provided the symbols and iconography for the mythology to latch onto. Denver International Airport really is a fascinating case study in how reality and myth can intertwine.
How a vacuum of transparency and competence can be filled by these wild, persistent stories.
So as we finish this dreamy deep dive, we wanted to leave you with a final thought to maybe ponder as you go about your day. Something that wasn't explicitly in our sources, but builds on them.
If, and it's a big if there really were a secret global organization, incredibly powerful, incredibly wealthy, meticulously planning world domination or survival.
Why on earth would they choose to leave so many clues? Why litter their secret headquarters with obvious Masonic symbols, commission terrifying murals depicting their supposed plans, erected a demonic-looking horse that literally killed its creator, and used names like New World Airport Commission?
Wouldn't a truly secret society be, well, more secret? More subtle? Why risk exposure with such blatant, almost cartoonish signals? It's something to think about.
It is indeed.
Well, it's Ellen Monique here, and we just want to say thank you for taking this long, peaceful, dreamy deep dive with us today.
We hope you found it relaxing and maybe a little bit thought-provoking. Remember, taking this kind of time just to listen, away from screens, really does benefit your well-being.
Yeah, better posture, less eye strain, fewer headaches, and just creating that mental space for calm and focus. It's important.
So if you enjoyed this journey into the weird and wonderful world of DIA, please do subscribe to Dreamy Deep Dive. That way you won't miss out on future deep dives like this one.
And hit that bell button too, so you get notified when new ones drop. Most importantly, if you found this interesting, please give it a like. It really helps other people who enjoy this kind of detailed, non-visual, brain-stimulating content find the show.
Share it with anyone you think might appreciate it.
Until next time, stay curious.